amounting to 27 million.
I hope the officer has now found his financial statements, because we will be writing to ISPAC that you are not fit to be in that position. Senator Wambua.
Chair, I'm actually increasingly doubting whether really a real audit took place in Samburu, or people just sat down and did whatever it is that they did. That gentleman, the director of Director of Finance. I take great exception through your governor that you would even try to attempt to respond to questions of Ed. I've actually seen, Chair, it is our staff that have given him a document that he should refer to.
The danger with that is one time that happened in Kiambu.
Yes.
And then the governor of Kiambu claimed those were our records and disowned us. So you need to be very careful, our clerks.
Yes. Yeah. So Governor, I honestly feel you. I don't know myself what I would do in a situation where then I have this level of casualness in handling such sensitive issues. These, for heaven's sake and for crying out loud, these are deductions from people.
Including him.
Including yourself.
Yes.
This is money that, should form the basis of a lot of things for staff. At the end of the day, there are pensions, there are questions of pensions, there are questions of, retirement benefits. There are circle issues here. It's a very serious issue. It's not an issue that you just wake up and try to recollect. I'm not very sure about that. Chair, and I can't guide you, but I request that you guide this committee to arrive at a situation that this level of casual way of doing things in the county government of Samburu must be brought to an end. And I like what the governor is saying. Perhaps this is the first time that we're having a constructive engagement with the county government of Samburu. It is late, but at least we can arrest something, if not someone.
Yeah. Let's listen to the officer. What did you want to say?
Okay. Chair, thank you. First of all, if you look at trade payables, we have two.
First, the document that you're looking at.
You are looking at the financial reports for FY 24-25 as of June 2025.
Page?
39.
Page 39.
The original certificate.
Yeah. I just want to confirm that the total pending bills was 431, as indicated there, broken down into two: trade payables and third-party payments. And if you look at the aging analysis down there, the 28 million, which is above 3 years and above, old and above, that is where the question falls now. The pending bills related to third-party payments, like SACCOs, KRA, and those payroll issues. So
what are you saying,
I'm just saying
that is different from what is before us? Because what is before us, employee payables is 0. And you have just said that you've had 27 million on matters to do with employees. And having looked at this, those should be categorized as employee payables. Because if you talk of third-party payments, you can't put employee payables in the third-party payments.
Okay, according to me, employee payables relate to...
Do you have a standard separate from the one issued by the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board? Because
the same.
You are the 47th county we are dealing with, so we are not new. We are not strangers in Jerusalem. Number 2, opening balances. Could you show us where they are?
Opening balances for the year is an additional... No,
where are they? Where are the opening balances?
I did not indicate it here.
Were they supposed to have been indicated?
Yes.
So is your note 32 a fair, accurate picture of the state of trade payables in Samburu County?
In terms of the summation of pending bills, it's accurate.
No. In terms of what you're required professionally to disclose.
Opening balances was omitted.
Is it material?
Opening balances, I would say the totals.
No, is it material, yes or no?
Yes.
So that's material non-disclosure. And you must take responsibility as a professional. And Governor, I don't think that in case of Samburu, we could be talking of lack of capacity in the general populace of Samburu. I mean, when I go to Kisumu, the manager of the central bank in Kisumu is a friend of mine from Samburu. My county commissioner in Samburu, in Kisumu, is a gentleman from Samburu. So we can't say that that is the sharpest tool you have. So I think let's take note of the serious professional negligence that we have observed here, the lack of disclosure, lack of supporting documentation, and therefore, I think on this matter, we cannot come to a conclusion that this is the true state of pending bills in Samburu, and we can make appropriate recommendations.
Yeah, so Chair, you need to guide, because he has gone on record to say that he admits that there is material non-disclosure on note 32. I think just on that score alone, Chair, I believe that there are pronouncements this committee should be able to make. I mean, there's an admission on record.
Senator,
and also, Chair, because then the auditors would look at the veracity of these documents, what would still be outstanding is the requirement to justify why the documents are not given in good time, so that because we don't have prosecutorial powers, would have to give the files to ESC to do investigation. Why can't we give opportunity to the officers to really give justification why those documents are not there? Is it somebody was not there in the county? Maybe they were fired, and you brought in somebody new. Somebody was sick. The documents were carried away by water, and they had to reconstruct them, so that we just get that narration for the sake of the answer.
Chair, I think maybe since there is admission of liability, we should. That is done on record. Since there is admission of liability by director of accounting or finance, and he is a member of profession like some of us are, then the consequences must follow. And maybe, Governor, maybe just a basic question, because I've seen how your team answers questions. Maybe can I ask a basic question, Governor, because it looks like everybody is casual among your staff. Answer it or you don't answer. You saw director, the CCM taking back and forth. Workers and staff intimidating you, Governor, or they don't respect you, or they don't follow your orders. Is there disrespect? Because when a staff which you have entrusted with responsibility don't take the work seriously when they are before Parliament, maybe they disrespect you and you don't know it, because if they don't feel an obligation, this should be a very serious matter that they, even in Japan, when you are speaking before your boss and you fail, you start crying.
In Japan, they commit suicide. But honourable members, let's get back to this so that we can make some progress.
Yeah, because we cannot make progress when you have members of staff who are answering questions casually. So my concern, Governor, do they disrespect you? They don't follow your orders, because it looks like you are the victim of poor performance of your staff. Because from the question one, Chair, to now, we have been struggling to get headway, especially from the members of staff that is working with the government. But at face value, Governor, you look like a lion. So is there something?
Now, members, let's come back to the numbers, because we have demonstrated that there is a problem, and the Governor has also owned up that this session helps him to see things the way they are. But the point we cannot run away from, and members allow me, let's just prosecute this. The point we cannot run away from is that the Auditor General says that for 5 years, you have collected SACCO contributions of 27 million from your staff, which has not been settled. And today, you have come and told us that out of the 27 million, you have paid 10 million. Now, SACCO contributions are very personal, very painful. It could be contributions to share capital, it could be repayment of loans. Even if, Governor, you came and found this as a problem in Samburu, I think from a humane perspective, this is one thing that you must be resolved with immediate effect. You would rather pend the payment of someone who's built a road, but not the contribution of an employee, a contribution that has already been deducted. The control of budget has already approved that contribution. I think this we cannot run away from, Governor, because this is about being humane and being responsive to your staff. I would want to hear your views on that, or the action you are taking. You owe them 27 million, only 10 million has been remitted, leaving a balance of 17 million.
Sure, thank you so much. Just allow me to say something little on what Senator Cherargei raised here. One thing that is very clear about my staff is that they are highly educated. They are no different from any staff in this country. These people sitting here, they were recruited by the public service of Samburu, and they have degrees from universities of Nairobi, universities of everywhere that are in Kenya. They also have that CPAC thing that I have never attempted. So they are, as far as I know, that is the best of accountants you can get. And I remember one time in KICC, you raised an issue that you will forward their CPAC numbers to the bodies so they can be, so they can be vanished. I don't know how those bodies work. And you actually mentioned their names, and they are sitting here. The same people that you forwarded in KICC, they were not punished. I actually asked one yesterday, not the other day. I asked one of them here, I don't mention. I thought Senator Kajwang, in my first year as a governor, forwarded your name to CPAC.
I think, Governor, for guidance, Senator Kajwang is not the governor of Samburu. You are the CEO of Samburu. We can only make recommendations. It is for you to take administrative action on your staff. In fact, even ISPAC cannot sack your staff. No other body can. It's your county public service board.
Not the sacking, Senator.
And you as a governor.
I thought when you forwarded, because you're the one who pronounced that you are forwarding this person and this person, I thought there will not be
It does not take away your responsibility as chief
I'm not saying
executive
that,
officer.
but I think they should not have been accountants anymore. The point I'm trying to make is that we have highly qualified staff. There is no question about that. They have everything accounting.
I think let's look at that. Could you, Governor, just to guide you to come to the SACCO?
To the numbers.
Come to the SACCO. Yeah.
The reason why I was asking that we go back, I said on record, I find this meeting more productive than what I thought, because we are looking at things post-audit and how to correct them. And I think that's what we all want for our people. So, sitting here, and I said I'm not an accountant, one record is saying that we have zero deductions, if I understood very well. We have zero balances. There's another conflicting that is saying we have about 16 because 10 is paid. But it is also in the record that 5 million is currently sitting at the control budget to pay the remaining 16 million. So that will leave us with about 11. Senator, in all honesty, in my opinion, I want to agree with you 100%. This is not something that should be staying in our books. If it is true that we have zero balance, then I'm happy, as recorded in that document. If we still have a pending 11 million, I want to give you the assurance that that's one thing that I will not want to see again. As you said, we'll go back and pay that money. As to why it has remained unpaid, if it is true, because now I have conflicting records. One is saying we have zero. The other one is saying we have 11. If you take away the 5 million, then we'll pay Senator, take that assurance from me.
Now, we will make appropriate recommendations, but I must express the concern of this committee around your bookkeeping practices, the accuracy of your records, your non-cooperation with the Office of the Auditor General, and therefore, on the face of it, it is our view that this amount of money listed as trade payables is not justifiable because the Auditor General has not given us that assurance, but we shall go to the law and propose appropriate consequences. Senator Sifuna, you could go on record.
Thank you, Chair, Governor, and the team from Samburu. My name is Edwin Sifuna, Senator Nairobi. I'm a member of this committee. Chair, apologies that I came late, but it's good to see my friend, Governor of Samburu in Nairobi. Karibu Nairobi.
But, Chair,
Why do you have to respond to a welcome?
No, I want also to welcome him because, Chair, apart from being a governor, and apart from Senator Sifuna being a senator, and apart from my good friend being a senator, we are human beings. We are Kenyans. We will be in this country for the rest of our lives.
I don't know where you're heading to, but I said at the beginning of this meeting, I made it clear that we are not going to introduce extraneous issues.
I have done some mistakes, and I'm remorseful of the mistakes that I've done. But I think Sifuna and my good friend Senator also did some mistakes. And so that we can always be friends here in this committee and continue, I want to tell you my story on that material date. Without, just so that
Governor,
please allow me.
Order.
Say, let us reconfine.
Order, Senator Jaragay, order, Governor. Governor,
out of what I'm saying, you said we confine.
We have had many steps of discussions and conversations, including conversations between the Council of Governors and the leadership of the Senate, where the two members sit, is the Deputy Whip of Minority, is a Deputy Leader of Minority. I don't want us in this public space to start narrating all the events that have happened, because it's going to invite questions, interjections, and we might be derailed. And that's why I said at the beginning, let's stick to the numbers. I said at the beginning, when we gave orders to the Inspector General of Police, we wanted you to either come or be produced to do what we are doing. So let's do what we are doing. And finally, we are all leaders in this country, and it would be best if we were friends, but we don't have to be friends. We just need to love the people that we serve. So, Governor, let's go back to the numbers. Let's go back to the numbers. Let's go to deposits.
Chair, as we go back to those numbers, and really we should just go back to those numbers. Governor, we are very focused people on the things that we do. Nothing personal. Absolutely nothing personal. And because we agreed from the beginning that we will not bring those issues here, let me pray that we don't. If there is need for yourself, the Governor of Nairobi, who has graciously welcomed you to the city, and myself, to have a conversation around those issues that you think we should have, I have no problem with that. I can actually even buy a cup of tea as we talk about whatever it is that needs to be done. But for now, let's stick to the numbers.
I find it better if you do it in, this thing happened in the full view
What we say is
of the Kenyan people and all cameras. I have nothing wrong. I have nothing against you. I am not bitter. But I want to tell a story of that day so we can all feel who was wrong.
There are always different sides to a story, your side, my side, and the truth. So,
if the governor will tell us a story about that day, he should tell us why he organized demonstrations against the Senate in Samburu.
Order, Senator.
So if you want to reopen, allow us to. Those are
the extraneous issues that I don't want. Because you see, we wouldn't have found out the fraud in pending bills if we started with extraneous issues.
Let us confine ourselves to the matters.
Just 1 minute.
Senator,
I wanted to make a suggestion. Governor, you and I are national leaders. If your fear is that our tea will not receive national coverage, I can assure you, we can invite the media and they will come there. But what we want to focus on here now, or you can come with me to Thika on Sunday. The whole media will be there. But the point that I was making is, I agree with the chair. Let's focus on those issues that the people of Samburu want. Senator Enoch Wambua happens to be a bishop. You can trust him. He can convene us for tea. The media are our friends. They will all come there. Then we tell the story of that day, because I also have things to say. But not here.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're here purges the contempt. Let's go on and look at deposits and retentions. Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. The question is on refundable deposits and prepayments.
Is it your finding?
Okay. The statement of financial position and note 33 of the financial statements reflect refundable deposits and prepayments balance of Kenya shillings 94,726,058 relating to the Samburu County deposit account. However, review of the bank reconciliation statements revealed that receipts in the cash book amounting to Kenya shillings 82,190,366 dated between June 2024 and May 2017 had not been deposited to the deposits accounts as they did not reflect in the bank statement. Further, the county executive had borrowed deposit and retention funds totaling Kenya shillings 75,310,761 over the years, which had not been refunded or deposited to the deposits and retentions account. The borrowings were not supported by evidence of approval by the county assembly, utilization details, and the specific budget lines funded, or reasons for the continued non-refund of the monies. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of the refundable deposits and prepayments balance of 94,726,058 could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond.
To my CC respond on my behalf on that.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the amount in question relates to a total Kenya shillings of 94,726,058 directly borrowed from the deposit account. The withdrawal had been made to cater for provisions of essential public goods and services at such times when the county faced cash flow challenges. The county government commits to make the refund in the next financial year. Attached is Annexure 2 is a schedule of the current status of the amount receivable.
Auditor General.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The issue as it is still outstanding because the refunds have not been done for the monies that have been borrowed.
Governor, if you were to go with your response, what is the legal basis for borrowing 94 million from the deposit account and not refunding it? What's the legal? What does the law require you, Governor? What does the law require of you? Because deposits and retentions are monies owed to suppliers for work done pending the lapse of the defect liability. Is that the right interpretation for the accountants? These are money retained from contractors. So when you retain it and then you borrow it, you are stealing from contractors. And in any case, if there is a borrowing from that account, this is like the situation we found in Vihiga, where they took money from the deposits account, gave it to the county assembly for a housewarming, but there was some correspondence. There was some letters justifying that decision. So that's why I'm asking, on what basis was 94 million due to contractors diverted for other purposes? Let's start from there. Is there any justification in our records before we call it theft of 94 million?
I think it's borrowing, Chair.
Well, it's a diversion. So there's a procedure in law,
yes,
for justify
borrowing.
that.
Yeah.
Any evidence that that procedure was adhered to?
I want to make it clear, Senator, that we are allowed to borrow from accounts.
Yes, there is a procedure.
So that is within the law.
And that procedure is documented.
And that is recorded.
Yes. Is there a record of compliance with that procedure?
I want to allow me to ask my accountant to respond to this, because one thing that I know,
he does not need to explain to us the procedure, he just needs to give us evidence of compliance.
I also want to say that part of this 94 was way before I became the governor. Part of it is when I'm the governor. So
So you have continued the bad habit of the past.
borrowing is allowed. It's not a bad habit.
There is a procedure. There is a procedure. So can you give us evidence of compliance with that
As the
procedure?
officer prepares to respond, we just want him to be straight to the point, because the queries from the Auditor General want you to show evidence of approval by the County Assembly. Whether it is there or not, we just move very quickly. And then your response, Governor, you are just saying it was meant to cater for provision of essential public goods and services. And you will see the auditor is saying that there was no evidence of the specific budget lines funded or the reasons of the continued non-refund of the money. So those three things, just tell us, is there evidence of approval of the County Assembly, the specific budget lines that were funded, and then lastly, why that money has not been refunded years down the line.
Yeah, you have the floor. Please be precise.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, the 94 million is a total of the retention funds that have been borrowed by the executive over time, over a period of since 2017 to date. We keep the records. Number two, there have been no approval. We know that we're supposed to go through the Assembly for approval of such borrowings, but we have never done that.
Okay, so guilty as charged. Out of the 94 million, how much has been borrowed in the last 1 or 2 years? Because it's easy to say it was done in the past, but maybe in the past it was 1 million and your time it was 93 million.
Okay, as per my financials, that is on page 39, and 1 year is 50 million. 204, 811,000.
So you borrowed just in that financial year 50 million from deposit account?
Yes.
Without following the procedure prescribed in law?
Don't know.
No, I mean, there's no one else who assist you. You just said it earlier, that there's no evidence of approvals. You never did that.
It is true that we don't have evidence in approval from County Assembly.
Then that is theft.
What happens when the defect liability period ends and the contractors are supposed to be paid? What happens?
Luckily for the deposit account, it is always liquid. There's always, because we are in operations, we pay new suppliers who are deducted new.
No, that's a Juakali way of doing things. National Treasury.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, the situation that is being painted here is, a very serious situation that demonstrates financial indiscipline, whereby money belonging to third parties are being utilized to finance the services of the government of Samburu. And this one now is eroding the public trust, because they were supposed to have that money. They owned it, so that when the owner of the money comes for the money, that it should not be given any excuses. As the Honorable Senator has asked, when the defect liability period is over, and that contractor or the owner will come asking for the money, and you have actually put before this committee that even some are for as long as 2017, the defect liability most likely has already elapsed, and you have not paid that money. It shows a serious lack of financial discipline in that county, and you may finally not be able to pay that money when the rightful owners will come for that money. Thank you.
Governor, if there is a procedure defined in law, and that procedure gives responsibility to certain people within your organization, why would you come here and listen to the excuses that we are being given? Because initially, the auditor queried 75 million. In your response, you have clarified that it is not even 75, it is 94 million borrowed over the years. Over the years, only 2.8 million was borrowed before your time. Only 3%. The remaining 97% has been raiding the deposits account during your tenure as governor. The financial statements. There cannot be a different account. I'm looking at note 33, which the officer has referred to, and conjoining it with your response. In your response, you have said, Chair, the amount in question relates to a total of 94.7 million directly borrowed from the deposit account. And a breakdown of that 94 million indicates that only 2.8 million was borrowed 3 years ago. The remaining 92 million was borrowed during your tenure. So this is not a matter where we start passing the buck. Governor, 92 million has been raided from the retention account during your tenure as governor without following the provisions of the law.
Sure, I give you the information that I'm given by the officers in the finance department. According to them, how much was borrowed this time? 50, or the other one 44. That's what they're telling me.
The information is here. Fortunately, we don't have to fish for it. It's here. And it's been aged very nicely.
I will let them clarify that.
Yeah, so perhaps
this is
so
what
that
I want to say.
So perhaps so that we follow what you want to say, let them refer us to a document, because the chairman is referring to the financial statements of Samburu County for the year 2024-2025. That's where the page we are at, Governor. So if there's a different document to aid the conversation, let them also point it to us.
Yeah. I will let them look for that document. But this is what I want to say, and they must look for that document. Chair, if the law, and I'm not a lawyer also, I said I was not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer also. If the law prescribes that borrowing is allowed, number one, so there is nothing illegal about that. If the law also prescribes that borrowing has to go through the county assembly, and it didn't went through the county assembly, somebody is culpable. And that one does not require me as a governor. We have everybody sitting here, including ACC. If something was done wrong in that direction, I think I can do administrative action, but something else can also be done. On the borrowing issue, I want to make it clear. It's on record, it will be paid. That cannot be theft. If somebody wants to steal, he cannot record. So if it's recorded, I want to assure you that we will pay the deposit account as we borrow. And that one.
But Governor, if you go back to the English definition of theft, it is depriving somebody of their benefit. You are depriving contractors of their benefit. That is theft. Reallocation of budgets without approval, due process is theft. If President William Ruto was today reallocate money meant for agriculture to state house operations, Sifuna will call it theft. And that is what we have here.
And Chair, Governor, these things only come out after the Office of the Auditor General has produced its report. You are saying that if it is recorded, it means it cannot be stolen. What if the Office of the Auditor General did not pick this thing and the Senate did not cover it?
I also want to give us some little credit, because they only recorded 75 million. We are reporting 94. So we are better than them.
No, you are making it worse. That the theft is bigger.
In the reporting aspect, not in the magnitude. I'm answering Senator Sifuna's question that we are not hiding anything. We actually even telling the auditors.
No. As a chair, let me tell you, it does not give us comfort. It gives us great discomfort. Let's allow Senator Izena to go on record, then Senator Chirarge can ask his question.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone, Your Excellency and team. I'm Senator Izena Lemalitan from Samburu County and a friend of the committee. Thank you.
You're welcome, Senator Chirarge.
Chair, just I've heard Governor saying that much of the manual is staff, but looking at the note number 33 on refundable deposit and payment, between 1 to 3 years, the governor, under the borrowing that you did, is over 94%. Out of 94,726,058, only 2,841,788 was, let's assume, done 3 years before. So, Governor, you need to ensure, or the people who did the reporting through financial statement, that it is not correct. The only time that was over 3 years when you are not in office was 2.8 million. But over 94% of 94 million was done under your tenure. So that will be my question number one. Question number two, which is simple: who authorized this borrowing? If you answer that, the matter rests there. Who authorized? We want to see.
I think for the benefit of time, those two questions have been asked. Who authorized? They have admitted there was no authorization, unless you have made up another story. And if your story changes, mutakula kiapo. They have already said there was no approval. I mean, this is black and white.
And Chair, that is theft.
Yeah, that is what it is.
But on the matter of State House, no one wants to reallocate money to State House from agriculture. I wondered, you know, Sifuna might go and talk about it in Thika on Sunday. So you need to be careful. You can pick it from the committee.
Oh, okay, let's leave that. But I was just using that to demonstrate how obscene it would sound if the national government would reallocate money meant for fertilizer to arbitrarily to do what? To empowerment. Because you have been in parliament and you know what the role of supplementary is. You cannot be doing things beyond what the law prescribes. Governor, for me, there's one thing that I'm happy about, that today we are agreeing that we need to look at the substantive matters. The only part that I'm still worried about is that you're not expressing outrage at the offenses being committed by your officers. You are not outraged. We want other people to fix the problem, EFCC to fix the problem, ISPAC to fix the problem. Ultimately, as a CEO, you must take responsibility. Now, the facts have been established. They are borrowing from deposits without approval. We shall call it theft, reallocation, whatever it is. There are consequences in law. Members, is there any other matter that you want to raise on this beyond what has been established? Perhaps, Governor, I think it's important that we get a commitment from you on what strategy, now that the law has been breached, but that money still must be paid because contractors will come. What is your plan to repay that money back to the deposits account so that contractors can get their pay when the liability period lapses? What is the plan?
From my understanding, we've already budgeted some of it, but Senator, I think the accountant said something about our liquidity in terms of the deposits account. As a county, we are allowed to borrow through the law. We have not had a problem in the deposits account. But I want to give you an assurance that even without liquidity in the deposit account, now that we owe the deposit account this much, I'll make sure that some is budgeted this year and some will be budgeted in the next year. It is very hard for a county like Samburu to take out 94 million in 1 year. That's our entire bursary program. So since you've already borrowed and borrowing is allowed, we will pay some this year, some next year, and I want to ask my officers to note that so that we go back to zero, then we start borrowing maybe again because it's allowed.
No, that cannot, Governor, we cannot accept that as a committee. We cannot advise you to do that. If you are borrowing, it must go through the procedures prescribed in law. But those procedures must mean the assembly must be involved. But there is a specific reason why deposits and retentions account is established. It is to ring-fence the resources. You cannot tell us that you'll continue doing the bad habits because there's a window that is available to you. That cannot be the advice from the Senate. Finally, Senator.
Chair, finally, Governor, when you have referred us to Annexure 2, my expectation would be that Annexure 2, because I've heard you making reference to budget, do you have any extract of budget so that this committee can satisfy itself that you have actually budgeted to refund this money? I was expecting something like, what do they call that thing with the pending bills?
Payment plan?
Payment plan or schedule. Like you should be able to satisfy us that you will be clearing this amount in the next
on the budgeting, our budget at the moment is still going through public participation, so it's not a budget. It will go to the assembly.
There is no.
Can I finish? Even in the draft budget of today, we have 30 million budgeted to pay this.
So you have an extract of any of that because
that
we are
draft budget.
Committee of records. An extract.
Will it be unofficial to place something that's still going through public?
So you just want us to take your word? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, not just my word. We'll pass a budget at the end of this month. I can send you the real budget, because now we have just have a draft budget with 32 million to pay this part of this loan.
I think that's mitigation. Let's deal with the legality. That is where we shall give very strong recommendations on the matter. But I think this practice must stop, and how I wish the assembly was here so that they can understand that the executive is usurping their role in budgeting and reallocation of budgets. Now, looking at the time, we will skip a few of the other issues and go straight to the query on medical insurance. If there will be substantive issues that we'll not be able to deal with today, I think the mood of this meeting indicates that we might need to have another sitting, because we can clearly see that there was some lack of coordination and preparation on the part of the entity. Finance officers coming to the Senate without financial statements, I think that tells a story of unpreparedness. Auditor General?
Maybe before you go to that one, I think it should really be clear what we expect, and I think the governor needs to give us his ears, because he's saying that he will borrow because it is allowed. Borrowing is allowed from different votes, but I think borrowing is allowed, Governor, but I think you should regularize in a supplementary budget within the same financial year, not for regularizing in other financial years. So if you borrow, make sure that you regularize through a supplementary budget in the same financial year.
Yeah, I think that has been said. We have agreed that everything must be done in accordance with the law, and the governor has no other option but to comply with the law. It is an offense under the Act, it is an offense under regulations, and we shall also be recommending action to be taken in line with the offenses defined in the Act. So let's not reopen it, because we have established the facts, we have established there was an illegality. The governor has tried to explain the mitigation, but we will pronounce ourselves on the illegality. Medical insurance, Auditor General, please read your findings.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Medical insurance. The statement of financial performance and obtained to the financial statements reflect use of goods and services totaling Kenya shillings 1,782,103,252, which includes insurance cost of Kenya shillings 23,292,664, meant for various insurance covers. Further, Note 30A to the financial statements reflects prepayments on medical insurance of Kenya shillings 137,771,033. However, the medical insurance contracts cover payments for the previous financial year, the details of the persons covered under the scheme, details of payments made to Social Health Authority in respect of medical cover were not provided for audit review. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of Kenya shillings 23,292,664 on insurance could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I wish to clarify the two medical insurance costs reported in the financial year is as follows. Kenya shillings 137,771,033 relates to annual staff medical cover with Scholar and insurance brokers as provided in Annex Chair 7. is the insurance contract for staff medical scheme with scholar and brokers and payroll by product to support payment made to SHA.
So your Auditor General, 137 million, does that relate to SHA?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The 137 million is not relating to SHA. It is relating to the Scoreline insurance brokers, payment done to the Scoreline insurance brokers. The agreement has been submitted to us. It was signed on 24th of June 2025, while the one that has not been submitted to us is the one on Kenya shillings 23,292,664. Thank you, Chair.
Now, let's be clear, because your finding is confusing. Scoreline is a broker, and who's the underwriter? Who's the underwriter on that medical scheme? It's your question, Governor.
Britam are the insurers.
It is Britam.
Yes.
So what's the reference to SHA here? How does SHA come in here, in this query?
They were querying the 23 million. They wanted us to show the byproduct that amounts to 23.
So Auditor General, you agree that 137 is a commercial medical insurance cover underwritten by Britam and brokered by this Scoreline?
Yes, Chair, that's true. We've confirmed.
Now, do you have the details that you asked for? Contracts, cover payments, details of persons covered, details of payments, etc. for that cover?
Yes, Chair. For the comprehensive staff cover, in their contract agreement talks about all the staff of the county executive of Samburu, but we don't have the listing.
Do we have it here as evidence that Scoreline provided some services to your staff?
We have the agreement here showing that
but medical insurance, you provide a policy document.
Yes, there is.
Is it here?
It is in Annexure 7.
Auditor General, have you looked at Annexure 7? Because you can't have a policy document without the details of persons covered and the details of the limits.
Yes, Chair. What we have is the extract of the contract agreement for the provision of medical insurance cover by the broker. So what we don't have only is the listing of all the staff. But when you read through the...
Auditor General, 137 million has been spent by Samburu. Can you give us assurance that 137 million was actual cover to employees of Samburu, or it was air? I think that's what we need to deal with.
You know, Chair, Auditor, you've also confused us. You said you have the contract that was signed in June 25. You are looking for previous year. That's what you said.
Yes, Chair. Our question was, if this contract was signed in June 2025, how were the staff covered in that
the previous year?
Yes.
And Chair, I've looked at that Annexure 7. It's this cannot be the full document, Honorable Governor. This is 7 pages. I've seen contracts for Mandazi that are longer than this.
I think, thank you, Chair, through the Chair. I think the question was the 23 by product. The 137 was to provide evidence that actually there was a contract between us and the insurer. So now the question, I think, was on the 23 million.
So for 137 million,
yes.
How many people are you covering?
3,400 staff.
Is it there in the contract or whatever you have attached? This is why we'll put you on oath, because you are providing very material information that is not in the records before us.
Yeah, allow us to provide the byproduct for 137. It's just that it was not the audit.
That was the auditor's
The query was not 137, Chair. It was the 23 for SHA.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. When I look at this question, there are two numbers queried, 137 and there is 23. We must get assurance that those numbers relate to actual service or an actual medical cover that went to the staff. Because the other question would be, You have Britam, you have Scoreline. What is the role of Scoreline in that? To earn a commission? Or what service is it that they offer that Britam cannot offer directly?
I think it was how it was tendered. They just won the brokerage and Britam are the underwriters.
And so what is the commission rate on this?
We don't pay the commission ourselves. We don't.
No, it is in the contract. It must be in the contract.
Maybe between Britam and Scoreline.
Yes, that
But not-
commission usually comes back to employees of the county.
Not that we are, it's not in our agreement.
So can we see the policy document? Because the policy document will capture the premium, will capture the commission paid, and everything, including the number of employees that are covered for the 137.
Okay, if you allow us, because all we have is the contract, we just read the as per the question, but if you allow us, we can provide.
Chair,
Senator Maruma.
Chair, my question would be to the auditor, because if I look at the question you're asking, you're saying, however, the medical insurance contracts cover payments for the previous financial year, the details of the persons covered under the scheme, details of payments made to SHA in respect to medical cover not provided for review. Why are you requesting for the previous year's documents, not for this year under review? Were the ones for this year under review provided, and you're looking for the other ones? Is it for comparison, or why are you asking for them?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The payment done to Scoreline was a prepayment of medical insurance cost. So the question on the previous financial year was on how the staff were covered in the previous financial year, if this is a prepayment to the upcoming year.
Now, again, to understand this, so you've got Scoreline and Britam providing comprehensive medical, then you still have 23 million paid to SHA. What's the difference between the two covers, assuming they are for the same financial year?
Okay, for sure, we usually pay as a statutory deduction, and it was not captured as the insurance, so we had captured it as a statutory deduction. So we needed to provide the biodata for amounting to the 23 that was catered for and the contract that was needed at that particular time.
Has that been provided?
Yes, at an excess.
Auditor General?
What has been provided is the pie products for SHA, and also
how many employees are covered under SHA?
For SHA, what was let me confirm in the annexures.
Governor, how many employees are covered under SHA now that you're saying you've provided the details? Because you couldn't tell us how many are covered under Britam. This one for SHA, perhaps you might have an answer.
Because she said 3,000 are covered under Britam.
No, she requested for time to confirm. Under SHA, how many are covered?
SHA, when we get these audit queries, I want some clarification, because we narrow down to what is being queried, so we can respond here.
You see, Governor, just to guide you, if the requested documentation was provided,
yes,
it would have been very easy to establish how many are covered, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking.
Yes. But I'm just saying, from my own reading of this query from the auditors, and I want the auditors to listen to me, what they are querying is the 23 million from SHA, nothing else, unless I...
No, Governor, we are on SHA. We are on 23 million, and that's why I'm asking how many employees are covered, because they're using terms like byproducts. So those byproducts, where is that evidence? Remember, we have come from a query where statutory deductions are not being remitted. So we just want to know, this 23 million, is it for everyone? Are they the contributions for all the staff, or there are some that were withheld sitting in the pending bills register?
It's the total contribution for all staff, and total staff are 3,400.
So this 23 is for 3,400?
Yeah,
any schedule, any document in our possession or the Auditor General's possession to confirm that?
And maybe the question is, would the payroll by products suffice to answer the question for the 23 million? The payroll by product that the county government is saying has provided in Annex 7. Would it suffice to answer that question?
Governor? Maybe from the auditor first. Auditor, you have interacted with the records. Can you help us, because we want to move fast on this, can you help us to understand whether 23 million is what was deducted from staff for SHA and whether it was paid, and all staff of Samburu are covered under SHA and their contributions are accurate, up to date?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We've interrogated our records. I hereby submit that the insurance cost details for the Kenya shillings 23 million have not been provided for a review.
Now you see, that's why we are now fishing or walking, in the dark. If it was provided to the auditor, these questions would have been answered. I would not be asking you how many people. I would not be asking whether the deductions are timely. I think this is a third issue that we are getting a bit concerned about the laissez-faire responses. Senator Ezen?
Yes, Chair. I don't know. I think something is not clear about the Auditor General's statement, because in this document, I think on the same document that we have been reading, I don't know which document that is, on the medical insurance, he has indicated there, it is indicated that, however, the medical insurance contracts cover payments for the previous financial year. The details of the persons covered under the scheme, details of payments made to SHA in respect to medical cover were not provided for the audit of review. Can you specify specifically among the three which one is not provided? Is it the list from the previous or the current?
Auditor General?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We had queried two figures. The first one is 23,292,664, whereby details have not been, the specific details has not been provided to us. The second figure was on the 137,771,033. The contract agreement has been provided to us. However, the listing of the staff is the one that has not been provided to us. Then thirdly, we had also asked about details of person, that is now on the details of the persons covered under the scheme. The third one is on details, the details of payments made to SHA, that is relating to the 23 million shillings. The details have not been, is the one that we are awaiting from the management. So on the issue of the previous, the cover payments for the previous financial year, is we wanted an assurance or satisfaction that staff of the county executive were covered in the previous year, because this is a prepayment, presumably for the next financial year.
So I'm asking you, Auditor.
Yes.
This payroll provided, the payroll by product, would it be adequate to answer for part of the documentation that you require to show that that money was paid, the 23 million was paid?
Chairman, we don't seem to have that.
Yes, Patrick, I think let's move very fast, because at 2:30 we must go to the House.
Thank you, Chairman.
Records are either there or not.
Yes.
If they are not there, we ask them to provide them. If they are there and they are not adequate, we pronounce ourselves.
Chairman, if you look at Annex 7, except the contract extract that has been given, that period by product is what we also don't have. So we are not able to comment on that.
Governor, you must take administrative action internally, because we should not waste time on this. Insurance, if you have covered your employees and there are 3,200, for example, it should be very easy to provide a listing that these are my employees under the Britam cover, these are my employees under SHA. Why would it be a matter that leads to contestation at the Senate? These are records that should be sitting with procurement. These are records that should be sitting with finance. I think we are misusing the time of the Senate, and we will not allow that. Let's go to, I think let's move on, because this matter, we will deliberate on it and give appropriate recommendations. I wanted us to quickly look at a few irregularities in human resource management. The matters we have skipped, we'll come back to them. And Governor, the human resources is a regulated profession, and the law requires the head of human resource to be a member of the Institute of Human Resource Managers. I don't know whether your head of Director of Human Resource is present. Director, fine. So, under your professional oversight, the Auditor General has raised 12 paragraphs, 12, under human resource. Non-compliance with the law on fiscal responsibility on wage bill, that I will take as a policy issue. We don't need to spend too much time. We hope that if the mediation committee agrees to 454 billion and Samburu gets probably 8 billion eventually, that these percentages will improve. So let's not spend too much time on that. What is very concerning is 1.2, Governor.
Because the division of revenue bill or the county revenue bill is not yet through, it is the people of Samburu would think that we have 8 million. I appreciate what the Senate is doing by asking 454 and the National Assembly 420. We appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much. But it is not yet there. And if the Samburu people hear that we're going to get 8 billion, they will expect that 8 billion will come. And from my own experience in Parliament, these 420 and 454, most likely within mediation, some very little will change.
No, I think let's just have some faith, Governor. Governors were asking for 500 billion plus. Senators are pushing for 454. National Assembly is 420. Yes. We have a responsibility as a Senate to tell the public what we are working towards. So don't pour cold water on it. You should also tell your people that you are asking for 500 billion, which would have given Samburu 10 billion. So allow us to gloat over the 8 billion, because it might come through this afternoon. Let's start with non-deduction and remittance of pay as you earn. Auditor General.
Yes, thank you, thank you, Chair. Non-deduction and non-remittance of pay as you earn. The review of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Database, IPPD, for the period under review revealed that the county executive did not deduct pay as you earn of approximately Kenya shillings 2,707,946 from 47 employees, with no evidence provided to show that the county remitted the applicable taxes to the Kenya Revenue Authority. This was contrary to Section 5 of the Income Tax Act, Cap 470, requiring that all income earned in Kenya to be subject to income tax. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, this should be a very direct answer.
It's very direct. The 47 employees were people living with disabilities, and they're exempted from pay as you earn. Then there are two, I think 45, then 2 are interdicted employees.
Governor, because your answer is very brief, just read it just read it. I think it will flow better.
Chair, the 47 staff comprised of 2 main staff categories, those on interdiction and those living with disabilities. With regards to those on interdiction, 2 staff. The system cannot capture their pay as you earn, while PWD, 45 staff, the system could not capture, but they are exempted from paying pay as you earn.
Auditor General.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The results and the documentation has now been provided by the management. During the time of audit, the information had not been provided on the 47 staff. But given the reason that these are PWDs and the staff that were on interdiction, then this one is...
so staff on interdiction are not paid a salary? They are not paid anything? What's I mean, just quickly explain that basis. I thought staff on interdiction are paid a percentage of their salary.
Thank you, Chair. I think as the governor read, he said that two staffs are on interdiction. That means their gross salary after earnings and not allowances cannot reach the threshold of the pay as you earn. So they are paid part of the salary. That means half salary is being paid for the basic salary, and also for the house allowance. But these other like commuter allowance is not being paid, and any other allowances that are eligible for them to be paid.
Where were you when this question was raised by the Auditor General? Because you are giving a very reasonable answer. Why did this matter have to come all the way to Nairobi?
Thank you, sir. Really, I believe that we provided this documentation because I remember even after...
just a minute. What's your role in the county?
Payroll manager, Samburu County.
So when you say we provided, can you say I provided? Did
I
you
provided, and even I remember...
To the Auditor General or to another officer in the organization?
I provided to the auditors who are there in offices.
Auditor General, these are small things that should not be clogging up our reports.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The issue has been outstanding because the information that was provided then was not satisfactory, and that is why it was still an outstanding issue.
Governor, this is why I'm telling you, you are not, if the day you'll get outraged, you'll solve a lot of problems. Because you've got 12 paragraphs on things that could have been fixed right in Samburu, and thereby taking time of the Senate on things that should not come to Nairobi. If you look at the next matter, it is irregular pay deductions from employees with disabilities. A contradiction of what has been submitted in the other matter. Auditor General, is that still outstanding?
The issue is now partially addressed. The one on the...
What was the problem and what is it that has been fixed and what is outstanding so that we put the governor to task?
Okay, thank you, Chair. The issue was brought about by the migration of the system, their payroll system. The county executive was migrating to a new system called HRIS KE platform from the IPPD. So during the migration period, some of the functionalities were not complete. So the issue is now partially addressed.
No, but Auditor, you also need to help us. The answer to the prior question was that they could not deduct from persons living with disability, but in the next step, we are told that they are deducting irregularly from persons living with disability.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Previously, we had no information that the non-deducted, the 47, included the people living with disabilities. So we wanted explanation from the management to get to know who are these, the 47.
Governor, do you still want to take responsibility for this, the fact that your officers were not responding or providing information to the Auditor General, and therefore you end up with 12 paragraphs of things that are neither here nor there?
100%. But as you say, Chair, the auditors are also confusing us. They are terribly confusing us because in one query, they are saying, why didn't you deduct 2 million from employees? And he provided that those employees were PWDs and they're exempted. On the other one, they're querying, why didn't you deduct the P?
No, it's because they didn't have, it's because they didn't have your answer to the first question.
In fact,
if they had that answer, they would not have raised the second.
In fact, Chair, if I had the auditor correctly, these documents that you've now brought to the Senate, you did not provide at the point of audit. That's a problem, Governor, because I don't think that the Auditor General is unreasonable. I'm also an audited officer. If you provide documents, they cannot say a query is pending. So he's saying, these documents I've seen here, you have attached the exemption certificates from KRA for those staff. All that was required was that at the point of audit, provide documents. Then we wouldn't have to have these conversations in Nairobi. That was a problem. And this other one is about the migration to your new system. You know, so I don't think there's any confusion on the part of the Auditor General. It's the officers failing to provide documents at the point of audit. That has brought us here.
Yeah, so let's quickly, you know, if you look at the headlines under that...
Maybe the auditors also, because some of these things, what do you call that meeting after when they leave? The exit and that letter. Some of these things are provided to them and they accept. But later on in the Senate, we will come up with the same things that we didn't receive them at the county level.
Governor, do you attend those meetings? So yes,
that's where the problem
is. That's where the problem is.
I want to advise you, Governor. That outrage you are showing towards the Auditor General, show it to your staff. Kikulacho kingwoni mwako. That's where the problem is. Look at a question on overcommitment of salaries. Governor, overcommitment of salaries. irregular payment of special house allowances, irregular payment of extraneous duty allowances, irregular payment of special salary, salaries paid outside IPPD system. Yeah, let's look at irregular payment of special house allowances. Auditor General, is that still pending?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The issue is partially addressed as of now.
What is still remaining?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Now, the question was on the payment of special house allowance to 10 employees who are employed on various dates after the December 2014. So the management has provided 2 SRC circulars, and we, in our submission to the committee, we were requesting the committee to guide on the same.
What are the dates of the circulars? Do they relate to the period during which the allowances were paid?
Yes, Chair. The circulars relate to the period. The first circular is 2014, December, and the second circular is August 2015. So the 10 employees were employed before the first circular, which capped the house allowance to around 20,000 for county directors.
I think let me give directions. The amount queried is 2.8 million. We have much bigger issues in this report. We'll look at those circulars and look at the response and see whether the law was breached. The same extraneous duty allowances, is it the same thing?
Yes, Chair. The issue is partially addressed. The only issue that we had out of the 3 issues that we addressed was the one on the veterinary officers. The county executive relied on a circular issued by the Ministry of Livestock, that is in September 2008. So our question was the role of SRC in the payment, in approval of payment of extraneous duty allowances.
If there are policy issues, we can find policy prescriptions, so that we focus on areas where there is actual unexplained expenditure or irregular expenditure. But if it's a policy consideration, that we can do. Now, members, if I look at the time, we must deal with 1, 2, or 3 issues before the bell rings. And we have agreed maybe to allow the entity to prepare itself better, that we must have another session with the county government of Samburu. Let's look at procurement and distribution of food and ration. That is under procurement. So as we exit HR, Human Resource Director, you must remember that you're a member of a regulated profession. If the audit discloses 12 non-compliances in your department, it also shows that you need to pull up your socks. So the same way we have told accountants that ISPAC should deal with them, is the same way we'll be telling the HR professionals that your professional bodies must look at your fitness. But as you have seen, most of the things raised here are things you could have explained. They didn't need to find their way into the audit report. Now, is the head of procurement present? Again, another regulated profession. Who's the director of supply chain in this entity? Do you have a director of supply chain? Yeah, he needs to come in, because some of the things that we are dealing with here relates to his professional responsibility. Unless, Governor, you want to take all the arrows for all your officers. So, procurement and distribution of food and ration. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Procurement and distribution of food and ration. The statement of financial performance and noted to the financial statements reflect use of goods and services of Kenya shillings 1,782,082,133,252, which includes specialized materials and services amounting to 348,10,691 Kenya shillings, out of which an amount of Kenya shillings 104,320,550 was incurred on food and ration. However, analysis of the food procured per type, distribution list of beneficiaries and deliveries, the basis used on the beneficiaries' identification and selection, and the acknowledgement or confirmation of receipt of the foods and rations by the beneficiaries were not provided for audit review. Further, included in the amount is Kenya shillings 4,450,000 paid to 2 suppliers under framework agreements to supply and deliver cooking oil. However, audit review revealed that a payment of Kenya shillings 1,925,000 for the supply and delivery of cooking oil was indicated as a pending bill for the financial year 2023-2024. However, the delivery was recorded to have occurred on 22nd April 2024. The local purchase order was dated 24th May 2024. The purchase requisition was prepared on 2nd May 2024, and the acceptance certificate was dated 17 May 2024, which was after the date of the delivery. The inconsistencies on the sequence of the procurement process were not explained. In addition, the awarded contractor was non-responsive at the preliminary evaluation stage by failing to attach the tax compliance certificate, but was awarded the contract at the sum of Kenya shillings 2,525,000. Further, the inspection and acceptance certificate was dated 8 January 2025, while the delivery was done on 10th January 2025. So no explanation for the inconsistency was provided. In the circumstances, the value for money for the expenditure of Kenya shillings 104,320,550 would not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond to justify the expenditure of 104 million. Who is responding for the record for Hansard purposes? I think, Governor, you will need to, if you are asking someone to respond on your behalf, just go on record as saying so and so is going to respond.
I will ask the CFO to respond.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding food distribution program, it is important to place the following critical clarifications on the records. First, food procured type was in line with the department requisition, which are attached as Annexure 20A. With the same annexure, also a failed food and oil distribution. To clarify further, there was no particular basis for beneficiary identification. All public ECDs automatically qualified to receive these supplies. Acknowledgement letters are also provided in the same Annexure 20A. Additionally, Chair, I would like to offer a correction regarding administrative timelines of this procurement process. To clear up any discrepancies, the department chronologically executed the procurement step as follows. Number 1, requisition for foodstuff and oil, dated 2nd May 2024. Number 2, LPO issued to suppliers, dated 24th May 2024. Number 3, supply of goods, dated 22nd June 2024. And lastly, inspection and acceptance, dated 27th June 2024. All the documentation mentioned above are hereby provided as Annexure 20B. Finally, Chair, on the issue of supplier selection, the bidding process was based on a 3-year framework agreement. Also, tax compliance certificate and other compliance documents are therefore been provided earlier on the commencement of the agreement. Attached as Annexure 20C is the evaluation report for the framework agreement, April 2024. That's supply and delivery of foodstuff.
Auditor General, before we query, you have looked at those annexures?
Yes, Chair, we've looked at the annexures that were submitted to us.
Are they responding to your query?
Partially, it has responded to our queries. However, the issues that we still have with the documentation is the delivery note. The delivery note was issued before the LPO, meaning the goods were delivered before issuance of the LPO. That's the first issue. And the second issue is on the basis of identification of the beneficiaries is not well clearly put.
Okay, Senator Sifuna.
In fact, I noticed the same. You said as a chief officer. You have listed 4 documents there. Is there in your annexure the delivery note? Where's the delivery note? Because even on the list, you have listed 4 documents there. There's nothing speaking about the delivery. Is it in the annexure 20B?
Yeah, it's part of the annexure.
Okay, take us to it. Because I can see the purchase requisition form, I can see the local purchase order, I can see a delivery. What is the date on that document, Governor? This is the one by Narinyu Enterprises Limited. I think, Governor, we were dealing with the chief. He's the one who's showing me where the documents are.
So the delivery note is under annexure 24A.
No, 20A.
20A.
20B or A?
Yes.
20A.
20A.
Your response says 20B. So I go to 20A. Chief. I go to 20A. Huh?
20A.
I want to see the delivery note because in your response you have not pointed us to any delivery note. Now, if you go to annexure 20B, there is a delivery note by Narinyu Enterprises Limited for cooking oil. Can you see it? It's your response that has sent us to 20B. If you want us to go to another annexure, you just tell us. But Governor, there is a delivery note at annexure 20B, and it's a delivery note from Narinyu Enterprises Limited for cooking oil. It is dated the 22nd of April 2024. That is where the discrepancy that the Auditor General is asking is coming from. How is it possible that you have a delivery note for a purchase you have not done?
Chair, I need a clarification. Did he say 20A or 20B?
With respect to? We have both A and B, but maybe let them just respond to the specific question. 20B, which I think they're trying to rework the dates to validate the procurement. The Auditor General says that there are things that happened before, for example, a child was born before conception. That is what we are seeing here.
Governor, let me help you because we need to go to the House. Your team doesn't read the documents they bring us here in the Senate. In that same annexure, there is a letter from your county government signed by somebody called a meals coordinator. It is very strange. I'm a Luya man, but I've never heard of a meals coordinator. Governor, there's a letter there saying that this delivery note was made in error. And it tells you that people are backtracking, covering their tracks, because the Auditor General has been able to catch them in the act.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Please allow me.
You need to introduce yourself. So
my name is Mark Kegelan and I'm the CC for Education.
You are not the meals coordinator?
No.
Okay.
Allow me to say something, then if you need more information, you will hear from the meals
be very precise. We have only 20 minutes.
So we noted the discrepancies, which were errors that were made by the supplier. We raised those concerns. We wrote letters to the supplier that your information is dated wrongly. And they responded and made those corrections. And we have those as annexures in these documents. Thank you.
Point us to that annexure that is corrected.
All right. 20B. So if you look at the annexure 20B, you will see delivery note corrected. You will see the acceptance report. You will also see letters that were done by the meals coordinator to the supplier. Actually to the CEO, and then to the supplier. So all this information was.
Can we focus on the letter by Narinyu to the Chief Officer Education, which I believe you are? You're the Chief Officer Education?
The Chief Officer is here.
Yeah, it's part of what you're referring to, isn't it? Yes. That's what you're referring to?
Yeah.
As the correction?
Yes.
That's your case, isn't it?
Yeah.
When was it received by Samburu County Government?
First of June.
There is evidence. Every government
Are you reading
entity,
the same document, my brother?
Every government entity, every county entity, if it's a significant matter of procurement and contract, upon receipt there must be a stamp indicating the date of receipt, failure to which this is forgery. When was this letter received?
The letter we received before we got the information from.
Where is the evidence of your acknowledgement or stamp? Unless Samburu operates differently. This is a serious contractual matter.
Yeah.
A serious matter that can land someone in jail. And so a supplier amends the date on a delivery note. And I'm looking at your letter here. Where is the evidence that it was received on the dates that you're alleging? That evidence is supposed to be a date stamp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Governor, when something is received in Samburu, isn't it a requirement that it be stamped before distribution?
Yeah, in fact, Chair, more worryingly for you, Governor, just to demonstrate that these documents were prepared to pull the wool over the Auditor General and the Senate. When Narinyu is writing to the Chief Officer Education on the 1st of July 2024, that letter, first of all, as the Chair has rightly pointed out, is not acknowledged so that we know it was actually received by the county government. But then they say, attached, please find a delivery with the correct dates. Chair, I hope you can see that. Now, that delivery actually has a stamp when it was received by your county government. Governor, that date is 22nd June 2024, receiving a document on 1st of July 2024. There are games being played. And there is another concern that the Auditor General has raised, that this particular supplier was non-responsive at the initial stage. How is it possible that they ended up getting this tender? I don't think there is any explanation.
So I think for clarity, the attempt to rejig the dates to fit within the procurement cycle is unacceptable just by dint of your own submissions. If I would have seen a date acknowledging this amendment by Narinyu within the time frames, we would not be asking this question. But this is a letter that could be printed in cyber in Maralal. Unless, Governor, you have some explanation, but you need to be outraged. Because you are the one getting embarrassed, but there are people around you who are doing these things and bringing records to Senate that do not make sense.
Chair, they think we don't read. I think that's the assumption.
Now, let's go beyond that, and maybe for time, because we have established that these are records that are not admissible.
Senator, one day, I know you're going to run for governor. And I hope you'll become a governor.
Governor order. Governor order. You will talk to Cherargei directly outside this meeting. You have procured.
But I don't buy tea.
Governor, let's come back to this, Senator Cherargei. We will be running away from the issue, and for 104 million shillings, 104 million shillings. Not small money. 104 million shillings. What did you buy and who received it? You know, that was a thrust of this audit query. That analysis of the food procured per type, distribution lists and deliveries, bases used for identification were not provided for audit review. What you have done in your response is to clarify the policy. How do we know that 104 million, if it bought rice and cooking oil, it was given to the children of Samburu and not children of another area, or it didn't go to people's pockets? That to me is a most significant question that we must deal with here. How do we know that 104 million benefited the children and the people of Samburu? Governor, I think that's a question, and even for you, you'd be happy to explain how that 104 million got to the people of Samburu. Where is the evidence?
Well, there's a beneficiary list in the file, and Senator, we have a CEO here for education who buys this food and distributes.
Yeah, where is he?
Why don't you allow him to say something?
Yeah. Can you tell us? Can you give us that assurance? Is it the guy with the other discredited letter? Okay, let's hope this one is going to be better.
Yeah. So, Chair, attached, there is that.
Sorry, who is this?
I'm David Lanakula, Chief Officer Education. So, what I'm saying is that there is a distribution list for all the ECD centers.
Annex what?
I think it is just in that Annex 20B. 20A.
20A, just point us to it.
And there are also deliveries acknowledging receipt of the same.
Yeah, there you are annexures. Just run us through them.
Chair, I can confirm my set of documents does not have what that officer is speaking about.
Officer, my set of documents, Annex 20A, has got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 delivery notes.
Yes.
So tell us what they mean.
Those are the deliveries to the ECD centers, the named ECD centers.
So these 5 account for the 104 million?
No, it's just a sample of that. We have a very big file for the deliveries, all the ECD centers. And then we also have the distribution lists for all the centers in Samburu County. But Chair, when we talk about education, I want to say the 104 million is not for education only. But
how much of it was education?
Education, what I'm talking about here is 10 million for Nari.
10 million?
Yes.
So,
but you see, I think we also have other food substances that are being given out, say for example in the health sector. But for us, we are talking about the 10 million for Nari.
So you are 10 million out of 104 million?
Yes.
So who accounts for the remaining 94 million?
I think that's also a query. That's what we are also trying to get from the auditors.
Yeah, please give us the answer, because the auditor cannot give an answer.
Thank you, Chair. What auditor queried are 2 payments. One amounting to 1.9 and the other one is 2.5. That's the annexes that we have provided for.
I am reading the auditor's report, which says that out of 348 million, an amount of 104 million was incurred on food and ration. However, analysis of the food procured per type, distribution list of the beneficiaries and deliveries, the basis used on beneficiaries identification, selection, and the acknowledgement confirmation of receipt of the food and rations by the beneficiaries were not provided for audit review. We have not made up that query. It is there. It was in your management letter, in your draft certificate, in the final certificate. And give us the answer to that.
Chair, what we have here in the list of beneficiaries, these are schools.
Which is 10 million.
Schools receive the foodstuffs. How do they indicate that they have received? Because then, as part of evidence, we don't just need a list. Morijo, ECD, Lelere, Kujita, Loinganyai.
If you look at Annex 2A, There is that delivery note.
2A.
Yes.
2A, 20A.
There is the delivery 20A, sorry. There is a delivery note. This one has even...
Is a delivery note signed by the school or it is signed by the receiving officers? Because I'm imagining that the food from the supplier comes to some receiving center and they issue a delivery note of which then an invoice is given against that delivery note for payment. But when you distribute the schools in the food in the ECD centers, who makes sure that the food has reached the destination, the last mile?
There is a sign when the teacher receives the food, they sign against the delivery note.
I think the chief officer education has done fairly well for himself because he has said he takes responsibility for 10 million. And the samples that he has given us here are for the first one. The first school received 2 bags of rice. The second one, 2 bags of rice, that's 4. The other one, 2 bags of rice, that's 6. The other one, 3 bags of rice, that's 9. The other one, 2 bags of rice, that's 11. He has accounted for 11 bags of rice. The total amount is 100 million. So, if the chief officer has provided some samples, who is supposed to provide samples for the remaining 90 million? The remaining 94 million?
Chair.
At least chief officer education amejitetea.
Chair.
You ingine ilienda wapi?
Chair, this is what I'm saying. What we have here, we have just sampled the school. In fact, the files are very, very big.
No, chief officer, you have said in your department you can account for 10 million.
Yes.
Leave it there. Who accounts for the 94 million?
Yeah, and some food went to the hospitals. Do you have chief officer, health, to account for the rest? Or the number of bags that went to the hospitals?
I think under health, you also you can also find
Can you speak for health?
No.
Yeah, then let the person who is competent to do so and point us to the supporting
and the chief officer should know that just like he's giving us samples to show some deliveries, the sample that the Auditor General went with on the question of delivery of cooking oil has left us with very many questions about what is going on there. So we need to have a clearer picture of everything. In fact, if it were possible, Chair, we would sample every single line of foodstuff under this program, because we can see there are problems there. Whenever we encounter entities here that come and backdate documents and appear like the procurement process was rejigged to favor people, it's questions we have to raise for the people of Samburu. So because you have carried your burden well, I think at least according to the chair, let the one for health also speak for themselves.
Yeah, so Governor, we've got a long list here of ECDs, but your officer tells us that's about 10 million. Where did 94 million worth of food supplies go? That was a question the auditor was asking at the time of audit. Governor, are you responding on that, or there's an officer you want to respond?
I want the CFO to respond, because at the point of payment, he's the one that pays everything county, irrespective of whether it's health or...
CFO, we've gotten a picture of ECDs, which we are told is about 10 million. What about the 94 million?
I think total amount of money allocated to education for food stuff is that 70 million.
70 million?
Yes.
So your officer has got the wrong number?
Yes, he needs to account the rest. And also...
he needs to account for the rest?
Yes.
But you cannot be asking your officer to account for the rest here.
No, he provided for a sample of 10 million.
No. The sample is less than 10 million. He says what went into education program is about 10 million. Now you are saying it is 70 million.
Yes, and the rest went to health.
So the difference, the gap between 10 and 70 million, who accounts for it?
Education.
And chief officer, you are the one who is making the payments to the suppliers. How do you tell the other chief officers to account for?
I think we need to allow...
that payment is not made centrally, it is made by the departments.
If someone has to have tea, then it needs to be CFO and Chief Officer Education.
Yes.
So that you're on the same page.
Correct.
You can't give different answers. I think you guys need to align.
Just allow me this. We are one of the few counties that do ECD school feeding program, which I like, because
which is very good.
Just allow me to finish.
There's no doubt.
I'm going to be very brief.
But there we even praise your CEO
I'm going to be very brief. I'm not even praising myself, but I want to correct the CEO education, even if he's the accounting officer. We we are one of the few that feeds kids, and it helps. When I got in, we had 30,000 ECD kids going to Samburu. Samburu is a small county, so it might not sound like a big.
Good in an education committee.
It might not sound a big number to Sifuna, who is a senator for Nairobi.
Governor.
Now we have 41,000 kids.
Governor, with a lot of respect, you know parliamentary procedure. In the next 10 minutes, we must adjourn. Okay. So that's why I just wanted us to have this one very direct answers to the 104 million.
70 to 75 million, and it is in the budget. It's the budget document is a public document to ECD program each year. So every term is about 25 million. So the answer given by the CEO Education in my sitting here is inaccurate, because even if you're dealing with one term, it's about 25 million.
Okay. Pause it there. Senator Cherargei.
Chair, maybe we can go to page 26 on the certificate. Okay. Chair, under specialized materials on the notes, that is note number 10 of 348 million. And I think that is where the OAG generated the query, because if you read at the query, including his 348 million, 010,691. So unless the governor is disowning the financial statements, because I don't think the OAG would generate something without the basis. The basis, and we said, and your director took it casually, and he even went ahead at some point by saying, you know, these documents, we did it with a team. Is the governor disowning the financial statements? Because the OAG generated from somewhere on this specialized material of 348 million, and we have seen governor in annex, even in the counter requisition, issuance of voucher, the payment and requests can only be accounted for 10 million. So that question would remain. So governor, do you disassociate yourself from your own financial statements? Under specialized material services, that is note number 10, page 26 of the certificate.
Governor?
Because you are saying it is in the budget, but your own documents is saying something else. What is in the budget? No, you are the one who said it is in the budget 70 million. This is on financial statements.
So what is that? What specific item?
I thought you said in your budget of education is 70 million.
Yeah, I said, and I was not very precise on the figures, that I know for sure.
So you are running away from your own statement.
I was not referring to any statement. I'm just saying, I was just speaking about the school feeding program. We allocate about 70 to 75 million. What I know, every term takes about 25 million to feed our kids. We have 3 terms. Sometimes it varies 70, sometimes it's 78, sometimes depending on supply.
Yeah, Governor,
So, Chair,
the policy is okay, but the numbers must make sense.
Yes.
I've seen where Senator Cherargei is coming from. It's 104 out of that amount that has been queried.
Correct.
Your Chief Officer Education has attempted, and in your response, you have given us the answer that, to clarify, there was no particular basis for beneficiary identification. All public ECD centers automatically qualify to receive these supplies. Your officer says he can account for 10 million. Your CFO says it should be 70 million. Assuming it was 70 million, who accounts for the remainder of the 34 million?
The remainder of the 34 million will be accounted by the CFO in numbers.
CFO, can you account for the 34 million?
Why it goes? It goes to different.
Yes, we can account for that, because it's a budget allocated for food stuff for hospitals. The 35 million.
We must move from budget to expenditure, because those two are different. That is what the auditor is asking. CFO, did you not see what the auditor was asking, which was extremely straightforward, that you just needed to provide for audit review analysis of food procured per type? Auditor General, was that provided? Analysis of food procured per type?
It wasn't provided, Chair.
Distribution list of beneficiaries, was that provided?
At the time of audit, it was not provided.
And again, they've said that there was no, and then bases used on beneficiaries identification and selection. Was that provided for audit?
No, it was not provided.
So everything we are dealing with here is speculation. The only part you have attempted to justify is what has come from education. The rest on health or whatever other function.
Yeah, the CO health is here.
Is not on record.
I have the CO health here.
CO health, can you point us to the annexure with the explanation that you are going to make, you're about to make? Remember,
thank you, Chair.
Just a minute. Remember, these written responses were tabled by the governor under oath. So we take them to be true. So if you're going to say something outside of this, tell us so that we put you under oath.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just a clarification on health, because I think during the audit, the health department was able to account for the food procured under health, and that's why it is not in the audit query.
So this 104 million does not include the health?
I think it is in the within the budget.
Officer, how do you know that health is outside the 104 million?
Yeah, because, okay, I'm saying because it is part of the food and rations in the budget. Allocation for health is about 40 million. But we were able to account for all of it, and it was not queried.
Who told you it was not queried? Who said so? Who told you?
Maybe
use the words of Sifuna.
The auditors can confirm.
Who told you? The governor has given you an opportunity to explain because he says you have an explanation. And you are saying it was not queried.
Officer, for your benefit, the whole amount of 104 was queried. So whereas your colleague seated next to you has been able to provide samples for his portion, 10, and at some point the governor was saying the CEO for health should carry the entire cross. Governor, do you usually see these people, or Samburu is such a vast county that you don't have meetings before you come to the Senate?
Yes, sorry, Senator, would tell us that if you are doing a financial year, all financial year, and you've allocated over 70 million to education, and I know it is part of these food rations, there is no way the CEO is only telling us about 10 million. It's not possible.
No, that's when we agreed that maybe the numbers, and they can sort that out. And I said, let's assume it was 70 million. It still leaves 34 million. Yeah, and that 34 million you said is accounted for under health. And the chief officer health claims that he was not queried. And that's why, to avoid a situation where we look like we are scandalizing you guys, I might even want to call timeout for this team to go and organize itself.
Because, Chair, I was wondering, Governor, if you were me, seated here as a senator, how do you reconcile the position that have been taken by the health chief officer and your position and what the education CEO is telling us? How do you reconcile that? Who is telling the truth between the three of you?
It's absurd because, as the chairman put it rightfully, who told him, the way he said, that this is not an education? So I want to agree with that. But I think, Chair, I want to ask kindly the auditors here to also help us. Because within this 104, which is lumped as food rations, I know for sure that this food for rations is from different departments. There must be for education, as you said. There must be for...
Yeah. You know, Governor, if you are to answer this question and your officers, the question was very clear. However, analysis of the food procured per type. When you are coming to the Senate, is it possible to have the food procured per type? Maize, this number of bags. Beans, this number of bags. Lentils, this number of bags. And then, if you ask something like the basis used on beneficiary identification stroke selection, it is possible if it is food for ECDs, is there a policy on food? So that you say all ECDs are supposed to get this amount of food, maybe number of grams per child. So the ones who have more kids, a policy, you bring a policy. We identified the schools and the amount we gave because there's a policy. It's possible to answer these questions properly if you read with the officers and answer the questions specifically depending on the questions that are asked. Otherwise, if you look at these annexures and everything we've answered, it doesn't answer the questions.
Senator Cherage, when you look at the time, you can give us a comment that moves us forward.
Chair, I think I agree with you that this entity needs time out, because there is no way in the audit practice that auditor will generate 104 million without the auditing entity providing necessary schedule. So it is not from abstract, it is not from vacuum. It is generated from the schedules that were provided by the entity during the audit. So Chair, looking at 104 million or whichever the number the entity wants to move to, I think will not do justice if only 10 million can be accounted for, yet the entity is not providing further information. So Chair, with your indulgence, looking at the time, and we are supposed to reconvene in the next 5 minutes, we adjourn and give the entity and the governor further time to provide clarity, because at the end of the day, Chair, the people of Samburu would want to know each and every shilling that we give to Samburu will be accounted blow by blow. I think that will do justice. I yield back, Chair.
Me to also,
Governor,
I want to seek some intelligence also on that. Please allow me as a committee, because I also want to know everything about the 104, and I know it is there, only that these people are messed up. You see it out there too. Please allow me to do a written response, a very good written response on each and every item that was bought, on the beneficiaries, on the amount of all this 104, and send to the committee.
Remember, at the beginning of this meeting, we indicated that we did an affirmative action allocation of 374 million. And that one is not hypothetical. That one is actual. That one, irrespective of the outcome of DORA, Samburu is going to get 300 million plus over and above every other county. But when we have a query on 104 million, which we are not making sense out of, it makes some of us who are not beneficiaries start feeling bad, that we are throwing good money after bad money. So yes, we will require a very detailed explanation, but we have covered probably just about 30% of the issues that are here. But my experience with Samburu is that today we have done better than we have ever done before. Because in the past, we have dealt more with procedural and technicalities and extraneous matters. At least today we are looking at the numbers. At least today we are speaking to the professionals. At least today we are putting to task the persons given responsibility under the PFM Act and regulations. And I think that the employees of Samburu do not think that the governor will take all the bullets and take all the arrows and we shall get away. There will be those arrows that will be aimed at the governor CEO, but everyone must also take individual responsibility. It is untidy when chief officers of the same entity come to the Senate with different numbers. And I do not want to extend that spectacle for too long. I want the governor to have a sense of outrage, go back home, take administrative action. I want the governor to commit that you will have a conversation with the Auditor General before you come to the Senate. Because if there had been an engagement, I don't know whether there was an engagement between your office and the Auditor General before this meeting. Auditor General, can you confirm?
Yes, I confirm that we met after when they submitted their responses. We had an engagement with them. We went through the documentation.
Who was leading that delegation?
CC Finance.
So CC Finance, you must do better, because it's like you went for revision and then now the exam has come. And then it looks like it's paper 2 that has been brought out, because now you're looking clueless. So we are going to allow you time to sit with your team. I don't like when members of the same team speak different languages, because it indicates a breakdown in something. And we must demonstrate to the people of Samburu that this exercise is not a witch hunt. It is not about personal vendetta or any personal pursuit. We want Samburu to succeed. It can only succeed if the structures are working and if the officers are working in one accord. I think, members, I don't know whether there is anything much to say, but we must allow Samburu to reorganize themselves, and we reinvite them on another day for us to deal with the residual matters. The receiver of revenue report we have not addressed. Earlier on in our consideration, we noticed that you treat hospital fees differently from other counties. You don't disclose it in your receipt of revenue statement. And it's a matter that we have discussed with the National Treasury on the right thing to do.
We will give you another date on a day when we have more time. And Governor, I want to encourage you that when you give you that date, please come. As you have seen, that when we apply our minds to working for the people, we can get the job done, irrespective of our politics and irrespective of our personal differences. Any other comment from my members before the Governor makes his closing remarks? Senator Ezena.
Thank you, Chair. It's been wonderful joining your committee for the first time, and I appreciate
being here. And I want to agree with you fully that it is important that we give the county government of Samburu more time to go and bring very detailed responses and all the particulars. And I also want to encourage them that sometimes when you appear before this meeting, bring extra details, even those that you've not been asked for, because I noticed there was a gap whereby there's a question that comes up with the senators and the document is not there, but it is there. I know you have it in the county. So just be extra prepared. Come with extra details that you might think will strengthen your argument. And I also think, Chair, you need to tell the governor that
during the meeting with the OAG, he needs to be there also, so that he is appraised of
what the CCs are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Zena. Governor, your closing remarks?
Sure. Let me thank you very much because of your leadership today. And I think one reason, apart from us doing better, as you said, one reason why we did better is today we didn't have, I think this is how I would love to see us facing the committee of Senate next time. We deal with issues and you help us correct one or two things, then it helps the people of Samburu move forward. I want to go back with these people and see what I can do. Some of them have not done very well. And I will have to take some administrative action, whatever that will be. Finally, Senator, I will come here every time that I'll be invited to come to this committee. I want to make that committee. Sometimes we end up being part of some bodies, and those bodies make decisions. And because you are part of those bodies, you end up being part of that decision, even if it was not your own decision. The issues we had before came through the Council of Governors. If we were to be left, each one of us, I would have been here and no problem. We just did very well. So please understand that we also have those kind of issues. And we have nothing against anyone, nothing against the committee. More so, nothing against coming here so that we can all help the people of Samburu. I wanted to speak about my...
I think where you have left it is very good. It's very good. Let's not belabor it. We have agreed that we are progressing.
But how did you know where I'm going, sir? I've had a very bad experience my last time in the Senate, and it is disservice to me.
Let's not go there. You have just commended me for avoiding sideshows throughout the meeting, so let's not bring them at the end. I think our commitment is that we shall be very fair. We shall be very fair with the governors who appear before us, but we shall also be firm, very firm, as the law requires on the governor and the team to whom we send money. We shall communicate the recommendations on the few issues you have dealt with and also communicate the date of our next meeting. I hope that when you come, all your ducks will be in a row and everyone will be speaking the same language. The meeting is therefore adjourned.
Chair, of the work that we do here with senators in paperwork, it is very important. It also helps if one day this committee, this good committee, can take I go to Samburu every week, so it would not hurt the committee if 1 week you would come to Samburu, go see the feeding programs, go confirm the, those things that we do here. I think it helps because your intentions are good. You want this money that comes from here to be utilized well in Samburu. It will help if you look at the paperwork. It also help if you could come and see small kids feeding on the food that we are talking here.
No, I agree, Governor. I totally agree. We can come and look at the 10 million, but we'll still query the 94 million. This meeting is adjourned. I think that's a question. And even for you, you'd be happy to explain how that 104 million got to the people of Samburu. Where is the evidence?
Well, there's a beneficiary list in the file, and